So, I read The Feminine Mystique. I suppose what I was looking for was something that would help me to understand you and why you left. Well, what I learned was that American women in the 50s had been educated into believing that while the world outside their kitchen window was growing and changing at an ever-increasing rate, their success could only be measured through the perfection of matrimony, maternity, and the mundanities of occupation housewife. And that the dehumanising effect of this so-called house arrest was causing neuroses not unlike those experienced by prisoners in concentration camps. Well, this didn't seem to have anything to do with you, but I did start to wonder how it may have affected your parents. You see, growing up in the 60s, your mother would have learned that creative fulfilment outside the home was the only thing that could make the belt and light situation within the home tolerable. And although your father may not have agreed with this new philosophy, he would have probably bowed to the same social pressures that helped chain women to the kitchen sink 10 years before. But still, this was all just supposition and brought me no closer to enlightenment where we were concerned, but I did start to see beyond you and into my own life as pre-millennium man. You see, society has taught me that my biological reason for being is not only outdated but unnecessary, which leaves me with the goal of being a good husband and father whilst energetically supporting the belief that being a wife and mother are secondary concerns to personal growth. And since the latent guilt of patriarchal repression still underwrites all my actions, my own principles are slowly but surely destroying any reason I have to actually exist until all I will be left with is being a good fuck. Now, I don't know if this had anything to do with you or not, but I did start to understand why I felt so useless when I failed to make you happy. Because the search for the female orgasm had probably become more important to Renaissance man than it ever was to women, and men's inability to find it leads to the same feelings of uselessness, of relevance and depression that were found in a 50s housewife. Now, this obviously had nothing to do with you at all. But I did come to understand why losing you cut so deeply. You see, finding a creative way of furthering the future of society, which is a basic need in all free-thinking individuals, is a daunting task. And by taking away my last goal in life, that of somebody else's sexual gratification, you have left me with nothing to live for. So, I read The Feminine Mystique. And in the end, it brought me no closer to you than I was when I started. But I did learn a lot about myself. And I did write a poem about it. So maybe you're not so important after all. Thank you. When your brother fell on the stairs, toppled by accident in a friendly tussle, bumped by you. When you watched him fall away, tried to catch him, his eyes fixed upon you, the tears you cried for him at the foot of the stairs, matching his as bumps and bruises were soothed, cuddled and comforted. And then again the spontaneous tears later as you replayed the moment in your bedroom. And then when your mother returned and we reset the scene for her, those tears would resurrect angels, dragging them fallen from a cursed earth and wash them clean enough for heaven. Thanks. Wow. Inditu mizeni ini kwatu ku Africa. Inditu mizeni ini kwatu ku Africa. Send me back to Africa. Send me back to Africa where my roots lie, where my ancestors' feet left imprints in Eden's soil. Send me back to Africa where my wife lies sleeping, where my children lie sleeping. Let me return to the tree from which I climbed, where I may pick its fruit and forage for my food within its savannah shade. Send me back to Africa where I may peel away these western layers in rain dripped from desert ears and wash away this painted skin in the sands. Send me back to Africa where I can be free of the golden chains of corporate bondage, free of the silver tongue of political slavery, free to turn my back on this modern world and count sun-dried hours for the slowly turning length of my own shadow. Send me back to Africa, and here I will build a new tower of beautiful words. Mao o Kongola, beautiful words. A tower where the Negro of our copybooks will be laid to rest as a foundation word defining colour, not creed, and black will never again make sense as a definition of race. A tower upon whose heights the words mother and fucker will never again appear in the same sentence, where friendly and fire will only ever relate to candlelight, where Kalashnikov and Uzi are expletives from an alien tongue, and 9mm. 9mm is a bend in a lion's whisker as it passes close by my sun-dried walls in the midst of a hummingbird night. Send me back to Africa, and it is here that I will face the foreign invaders, and from here I will repel the legions of hate, and it is here you will hang me when you fear I am different, and here you will hang me when you realize that I am the same. Send me back to Africa. Inditu mizeni in Ikwatuku, Africa, let me fall. Broken lay flight from the topmost branches, rest soft between the ancient buttress roots, rot slowly into the motherland of my forefathers as they enfold me into long arms twined cradle-like around my body. Take my money, take my car, take my house, take my name, take all my worldly possessions and give them away to anyone who is fool enough to want them, and then just send me back to Africa. Inditu muzeni in Ikwatuku, Africa. Send me back to Africa. Leave me in the garden and leave me there in peace. Thanks.